Hey guys, so Zeri bringing you another video. Now welcome to another Challenger Spectate. Now today we're talking about Zeri, and I know it's a champion we've spoken about a lot. But the reason why we're doing it, and the video title is probably going to be something to do with like, this is ultimately the problem with Zeri or something of that nature. Because a week ago, whenever we made that video about that Riot basically giving up balancing Zeri and Yuumi for a while until they can work it out. What Riot did before they kind of admitted defeat, they reverted kind of Zeri to what she's supposed to be in base. That she's supposed to do little damage, but high DPS and high mobility. And obviously, even in the article, and we spoke about that, basically Zeri is harder to play for the average player if that's the play style. But what part of the problem is Riot's ethos nowadays is they try to make every champion viable in every single rank. They never used to do that. It's a fairly modern concept. But a champion like Zeri that can kind of be a problem if you make her too easy, that's ultimately the problem. Now, it is worth knowing, since that change, Zeri's win rate currently, of me recording this, and, you know, she's not really going to get any patch note, anything, over the next few patch notes until they work out what they want to do. In Platinum, the standard win rate, when people talk about champion win rates, the standard one is Platinum and above, or Platinum 2 and above. I think it's Platinum and above is the standard win rate. Yeah, so Platinum and above. That is the standard win rate. So Zeri's standard win rate is 41.5%. Yet she will still be pick or ban in Challenger. She'll still be pick or ban even probably in high rating. Let me just kind of walk around a little bit. If I change her win rate to Iron, it's 44, 43, 42, 41. So very low win rates from Iron to Gold. If we get up to like Diamond, it's still in the 40s. Goes up to 45 in Master, Grandmaster, Challenger. It's all not great win rates, but yet this champion will still be picked. It's the exact same as, remember, we've spoken about it many a time, as Zeri. The strongest champion in the game at one state, had a 44% overall win rate, and got nerfed. Zeri is very reminiscent of that. And that's just because the champion Zeri was actually very, very hard to play. They didn't have all the let's swap around the play style and all this stuff with Zeri. He was just very strong in the hands of a very good player. And ultimately, Zeri is exactly the same in this play style, in the high mobility, low actual damage output. It needs someone who is incredibly strong at piloting the champion, who's amazing at movement, not getting caught at all, to maximize this champion completely. Because if you get caught, you're dead, obviously, like most AD carries. But other than that, like, if you just have a little bit of a fight, that's a weird ghost spy thingy. I guess maybe they thought Lee Sin was coming, and then Lee Sin never did. So that's a weird ghost spy Sivir. But yeah, ultimately, that's the problem with Zeri, is they've put her back to her OG playstyle, so you are going to see her win rates absolutely tank over the next few patches. And this is where in lies sometimes the problem with the differences between the community in League, is if you're the average Zeri player, not in the crazy ranks, you're an average tier play, meanwhile Bel'Veth coming in for a gank, bit of a clumsy dive, has to be said, Misfortune actually gets killed. Janna, not even sure is going to go down, just does go down, but that's a solo kill for Bel'Veth, so no interaction there for Zeri or Misfortune. So that was a bit clumsy. You know, Sivir's not doing too bad there. I've just noticed that this is all bugged, so we'll close it and reopen it. Bam, bam. Yep, that is still existing, that it's bugged, unfortunately. They are looking to go in for another dive, which I would really not do that. But they're going to go for it anyway, and with the flash, they do get it. Damage reduction, and the Bel'Veth is also okay. So again, a little bit crazy, but two modern champions, Bel'Veth and Zeri, you can sometimes go a bit crazy when you've got the modern champions compared to the enemy team. Janna's going to do her best just to delay the enemy team going back, which you not always should do, but it's generally a good thing to do. When should you not do it? If you actually want them to go back. When do you want them to go back? If you're getting denied millions of farm, and it's like, dude, I'm not getting any, let them go back. Try to get some farm then. But yeah, ultimately, that's what I would say about Zeri. And going back to what I was saying before, if you are the more average tier Zeri player, but you don't keep up with all like the articles that Riot puts out and all this, you're probably going to be very confused, because you might, as even an average player who doesn't watch guides or videos like this, you know, I'm not talking about you guys, the audience. You guys are more than the average League player. The average League player doesn't look any of this stuff up. So, and they don't even look at patch notes. And if you're that player who plays Zeri, doesn't really look anything up, doesn't know what the news is, doesn't know what Riot's doing, you're going to maybe occasionally go on like a u.gg or something and look up your champion, and you'd be very confused. You know, you'd go on that going, why has my champion got a 41% win rate? Where's my buff? You'd be very, very confused about that. And I don't blame people for being confused about that. Not everybody can keep up with everything in the game. And, you know, you have to understand this is a lot of the time just a casual hobby for a lot of people. But that's ultimately the problem with the ethos that Riot, well, the precedent that Riot has set, that we're going to change this champion all over the place to try and make it viable in all ranks. It's very strong in the hands, you know, in this playstyle, it's still very strong in the hands of a good challenger player or something of that nature. Meanwhile, Bel'Veth gets a kill. Sivir doing a best of what she can do. Very close, good dodge by the Zeri. As yeah, Bel'Veth is doing a nice job down here. Not actually surprised that Bel'Veth is actually going down bot lane, because Sivirs naturally do sometimes push, kind of like a Trist. They can control it, but it's so tempting for a Sivir just to hit that QE and the whole wave just dies instantly. So most of them do that, and then they push naturally, and it opens up a gank quite easily. But yeah, you would be confused as an average tier player who doesn't keep up with everything. You'd be like, Riot, please buff my champions a 41.5% win rate. That's absolutely terrible. And it is a bad win rate, and yet it doesn't need a buff. That's the thing, that's why I've always said to people, and you know, over the years I've had back and forth with people about like win rate's important, win rate's not important. Ultimately, it's not a huge deciding factor, because there's so many other things and there's so many intricacies to it that, as I said, is the average win rate. Oh, nice snipe by Zeri. There's so much within that, you know. A 41.5% win rate is terrible in most avenues, but then the champion in the hands of an insane, crazy player is still madness, and you can't let that happen. As I've always said, Riot used to anyway balance the game purely from top down. They don't do that as much anymore, but in some cases I think they need to, and I would say Zeri is one of those cases. If you don't balance this champion from top down with how much mechanical outplay she can do with her movement and everything, she will always be a problem. And you know, so much so that they changed it to be a very basic playstyle of just making a W scale of AP and do millions of damage. Well, that was a problem, because then anybody could just press W and one-shot people from way safe away, and that's not her intended playstyle. So that's kind of the problem. So what I was doing, this video is what am I trying to achieve with this video, is we are watching a challenger game. I believe we are in the top 5. This is the top 5 challenger player on EU West. If some people who take win rates absolutely gospel of 41.5%, that's absolutely atrocious, the champion's garbage because of the win rate, a challenger player would never play it. It would literally not be seen in challenger, yet it's still going to be ultimately played all the time, because the win rates don't tell you the story. So that's the thing to say, is that's why I wanted to make this video. You know, they're doing very well. Sivir is one of the strongest champions in the game right now, and is getting wrecked to a Zeri lane. Admittingly, obviously can't hide it, the Bel'Veth has obviously helped this lane a lot, but, you know, the Lee Sin could have, he just kind of didn't, which I will say is a bit weird. I think Lee Sin could have gone bot lane a bit, you know. Yes, Zeri is mobile, but the misfortune isn't. Sivir, she's having a rough time. She does a nice spell shield though, so I don't think the kill is on. I'm not sure the tower dive is on. She's going to do maybe a bit more damage. Yeah, there you go, with a click, and she's actually going to get killed for it. So again, Sivir is a strong champion. That's a 2-level difference, and the Sivir did kill the Zeri. Yes, there's a tower involved, but the Zeri had the confidence to go for that, and does show she can still be killed. Sivir, you know, let's not hide around it. I would ultimately say, on average, the strongest AD carry in the game right now is probably Sivir. She's very easy to play. Her wave clear is insane. You can basically, what I would even say, ignore the lane phase. And what I mean by that, you could, every single minion wave, just QW it each time and not even have to interact with the enemy team if you don't want to. You can do that as Sivir, and then your team fight is absolutely insane later. Obviously, this Sivir has actually wanted to try and fight a little bit more, which I do respect. And, you know, some Sivirs do fight, and they can win lane. It's just Zeri is also quite strong, and the Bel'Veth obviously has helped a bit too. So again, Zeri's wave clear, not too bad either. You know, everyone always talks about other AD carries wave clear. Sivir, obviously the primary one, but W into the E that then gives your bullets follow through on your Q. But yeah, it's pretty good wave clear. It's not bad. Tower, though, is going to go chunking down. Nearly double farm is the Zeri at this stage of the game. Misfortune ulti owned the Janna And Zeri, good sidestep there. Probably, yep, going to chase them up with that flash, and the Janna will go down. So I will say what does now feel that's happened to the enemy bot lane. They're really disconnected. You know, Sivir's trying to ult to the tower. What's going on here? She's trying to ult to the tower to wave clear it so the enemy team cannot kill the tower. Problem is, they killed it really fast, so then Sivir's just dead because she positioned in a way that either that was going to go good for Sivir, kill the minions in time, make them get off the tower, or make them tower dive me again, or, hey, they killed the tower quicker than I thought. Oh god, I'm dead. So, as I was saying before, what's happened to the enemy bot lane? They're completely disconnected. Janna's in lane by herself, dies. A Sivir comes back to lane, dies. Like, they're never together. That's, if they walked to that tower together, they probably would be okay, but they're not. So again, another kind of more new champion feature is kind of the crazy mobility. If you kind of look at most new champions, they have some form of big mobility, it seems. And Zeri obviously can ride walls as an AD carry. So, you know, in what would take some AD carries a lot longer to kind of get to top lane because you kill the bot lane tower, do the movement, Zeri's like there instantly. And that's her strength, you know, and I want to make it very clear, I am completely fine with this play style of Zeri, because that is what she's intended to be. That's what they can balance her towards. And yeah, she does obviously need more balancing, but now if Riot decide this is her playstyle, we're not doing the W playstyle because that is genuinely unhealthy. This is the playstyle we're going to balance around this. Then you can do it. The problem that what Riot's had is that they were flip-flopping between her intended playstyle of more standard AD carry, but with the twist, or we're going to make her basically Lux. You can't flip-flop between those. Those are very different. You need to decide what she is. So Lee Sin doing what he can. Really good sidestep. Again, the mobility that Zeri has. Again, that's the thing. They collapse around her, and she's like, lol, nope. She has so much mobility compared to other AD carries. Again, her damage isn't absolutely astronomical because it shouldn't be. This is literally what Zeri is built for. This is what she's designed for. Good, obviously, ult by the Shen also. But yeah, I am completely fine with this playstyle. Let me know what you guys think. Are you fine with Zeri being in this way? Because I am. Yes, I do think she's still way too strong. But if Riot have decided this is what she is, at least now, hopefully, we're not too far away from it being a semi-balanced champion. Now, I will ultimately say, because of the nature of the champion, quite mechanical, there's gonna be big differences between a bad Zeri and a very good Zeri. Very big differences with her kit and everything. Ultimately, she is in balance, either gonna be really strong or probably basically useless. And there's a bunch of champions like that. And you know, am I okay with that? I'm personally kind of okay with that, but I know I'm different to the average player. I don't have crazy attachments to champions like some people do. If you're a Zeri main, you don't want your champion to be weak because that's your rating, that's your climbing. It's linked to a champion you're maining. But obviously, I swap my champion whenever I want or whenever I feel is necessary. Like, I love Anivia this year. She has already been nerfed. But if she got nerfed more and I felt I can't play this champion anymore, I would just move on. I wouldn't really kick up a big fuss. But I'm personally okay with some champions, you know, having waves. The game is fresh to me when it has waves of things are strong for a while, then they're weak for a while, and it kind of ebbs and flows and comes and go. It's up to you if you want to go, oh, this champion's weak right now, but I main it or I one-trick it, I'm going to play it. That's the way it's always been. But recently, Riot, I think, have tried to go for a different ethos, as I've said, of make every champion viable at all times, every patch, in every single rating. That's nearly impossible to do. You know, Riot have got too many champions to do that, I would say. And I think it's also the wrong thing to do. But yeah, let me know what you think about that. So we did see Lee Sin was top lane here or there. Janna just dies. She did, like, I don't know, just thought Akali may have committed quicker to that. I don't know, but yeah, that was a bad death by Janna. You know, it's worth knowing because some people go, oh, her damage is pretty high. Her damage is pretty high this game because she's now really fed. Any AD carry that's fed should be doing a decent amount of damage. But compare Zeri to, let's say, a fed Draven to the same, you know, her mobility, she can chase things down. That's what she's built for. But if you would compare a Draven 2 items when his opponent AD carry doesn't even have 1 complete, Draven would be in 2 to 3 axes killing people at this stage. Where Zeri is actually having to do a lot more than that because she doesn't do as much damage. So again, that's the difference. And that's fine. So the game itself, obviously a Heimer top lane, which is a bit weird. I'd presume it's some main Heimer, because you don't really see them other than that. Lee Sin's had a bad game. I am seeing Lee Sin pop up a little bit more nowadays, but the ultimate thing is, you know, Lee Sin is no Bel'Veth. A lot of, I would say, especially the jungle, does feel like the more modern champions just reign supreme. You know, Bel'Veth is kind of a big example in that. She just has so much more. Mid lane, the Ahri's just had a nice solid game, and I respect the Ahri because she hasn't gone Everfrost into an Akali. That's actually surprising. She's actually gone Ludens, because that's what some people, I think, don't get with a champion like Ahri. I hate Everfrost and Ahri. People know I do. The only time I'll ever do it is in Clash when I feel I need to. I can rely on my team doing the damage as well. But in the solo queue game, you need to be selfish, and Ahri... Everfrost does restrict her damage quite a lot. Yes, it helps if you're not very good at landing charms. Maybe you can land an Everfrost route and then you can land the charm, sure. But at this level, when you're challenger and you know you're very good and you know you can land these charms, honestly, like, Ludens is just going to do way more for you. And sometimes the best defense to something aggressive like an Akali is doing enough damage that you can just straight up kill her. And that's the defense. Everfrost doesn't give you that amount of damage, where Ludens probably does. So there's also that kind of thinking as well. So no dilly-dally. Ooh, weird situation there. That was very odd. Zeri with the ultimate again. Probably going to try and chase down Lee Sin with the W. Big damage there. Again, it is worth knowing the W still does a lot of damage. Look at the mobility. Again, very little actual damage. You know, another AD carry would have killed the Heimer very quick there. But Zeri has so much more mobility to avoid the grenade, to avoid everything. And that's kind of the key. So now the inhib going to go down, or maybe not. Big misfortune. No, that's actually not a bad one because it stops the aggression from the Akali. And look at the confidence that the Zeri has now. Look at the mobility. She can sidestep. She can dodge. This is what this champion's for. All right, so again, ease. Doesn't get the damage. Misfortune does, though. Lee Sin is probably going to try his best to try and catch up to the Zeri. Not going to happen, though. And she'll most likely end up going back. But yeah, let me know what you think of the champion. I know, obviously, even Riot said in their article, it's controversial. Both Zeri and obviously Yuumi was attached to that as well. You know, I think most new champions are controversial. Any champion in the last 2 years, I would say most of the player base has a more negative opinion about that champion than a positive. And I would include Rel to that, because some people are like, oh, but Rel's never played. That's the point. Like, Rel's not in a great situation also. She's just the other end of the scale. All the new champions generally are insane or crazy or very strong. Rel's the other way, that she's too weak. And the hilarious thing to me is Rel is exactly what she should be. Rel is an engaging tank and she's perfect at that job. But why is she ultimately never played? Because she doesn't do damage, and she shouldn't do damage. That's the point. But if you play Nautilus, you do damage. If you play Leona, you do damage. Just Rel doesn't do damage, and that's ultimately why she isn't very played. She's not popular because a tank doesn't do damage. How weird is that? All right, so the Akali, I will say she does have, you know, a little bit of strength to it. It's an Akali in the end of the day. So the Akali is always trying to look for the Zeri. It's quite noticeable. But ultimately, they're not going to dilly-dally. They're just going to go for the end. One of the biggest things in climbing that I always can give the advice is end when you can. We've all been in those games, I'm sure, that we're at this situation, killing the base towers, ending the game. Your whole team just decides to mess around. You get aced, and then you end up losing that game. I have lost games from this point of the game, you know? You know, Ahri's dead, and then Shen dies, the Misfortune dies, and then, you know, nobody attacks the Nexus Tower, and then you end up losing. We've been there. Don't do it. But ultimately, that is going to be the game. So just reminding everybody, Zeri, in theory, should not be in patch notes for the next few weeks. Same as Yuumi. And even if her win rate keeps going down, which I would say is probably unlikely, I'd imagine her win rate is going to start going up, because basically so many people have been used to the easier playstyle of just press W and one-shot things. Now that Riot have reverted to this is the playstyle, it's the AD carry playstyle, you need to get used to mobility, you need to get used to that. Well, now people will get used to that and get better at that, and then ultimately her win rate will climb, because she's a strong champion. You know, that's the point. She is very strong. But that's going to be it. If you guys did enjoy, do throw a like on it, throw a comment, throw a subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace. Restore our glory to live forever. Bring down the dark regime. I know how to turn